In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. At this time, some believe earth was no more than a dark void. The word was in Hebrew meant became. So when verse 2 says, "And darkness was upon the face of the deep," could it really mean that "and darkness became the face of the deep"? And if so, what could that passage mean? Well, there's an interesting theory called the gap theory, and it is said that there was a gap between Genesis 1:1 and 1:2. The theory goes that when the angels fell from heaven, much destruction occurred, and God had to restart on creation. That would explain why verse 2 starts off with, "The earth became without form and void," meaning the earth had just become empty and without form. It is clear that verse 1 speaks of God creating heaven and earth, and God created the form of the earth, giving that phrase meaning. How could God create heaven and the earth without creating its form? The theory opens the idea that after God created heaven and the earth, the angels fell, and the earth was destroyed, or at least flooded, and became without form and was void. So God restarted. The angels were with God in heaven and worshipped his very name. Many might speculate that after the creation of earth, an angel named Satan, otherwise known as the devil, betrayed God. It became prideful, but later verses show that may not be the case. Angels were most likely made during the creation of the first earth, and then Satan fell with great destruction. God made the Garden of Eden on the 6th day along with man to protect it, but Eden was created in heaven. It wasn't until day 6 that the river of Eden flowed out of heaven into the garden on earth. In Ezekiel 28, verses 13 through 15, God says to Satan, "You were in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone adorned you: ruby, topaz, emerald, chrysolite, onyx, jasper, sapphire, turquoise, and beryl. Your settings and mountings were made of gold. On the day you were created they were prepared. You were anointed as a guardian cherub, for so I ordained you. You were on the holy mount of God. You walked among the fiery stones. You were blameless in your ways, from the day you were created till wickedness was found in you." When this verse says that Satan was in Eden, it simply means that he could have been in Eden of heaven before the garden was made on the second earth. This could imply that Satan could have easily fallen and broken through the firmament, causing great destruction upon the earth. In Revelation 12, verse 7, it speaks of a war in heaven during this time. "And there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back." In Revelation, the book is mainly about the end of times, and it shows glimpses about the falls of Satan. As the saying goes, nothing new is under the sun, and that is true. Revelation 12 verse 9 says, "The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled down to the earth and his angels with him." Satan was not thrown into the abyss, but his followers were. Unfortunately, not all of his followers were, but the majority of those who followed him. A third of heaven's angels was thrown into the abyss. Satan, on the other hand, was not thrown into the abyss, for he is the great dragon, the one who leads the world astray, the deceiver of the world.